Welcome everyone to this exciting interview segment. Today we have the pleasure of sitting down with Tom Stevens, star of the Lifetime movie The Bear Lake Murders.
hmm
Join us as we delve into Tom's insights into his character and the challenges of filming this movie. Thank you for being here with us, Tom.
Of course. Thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure. So, can you tell us a little bit about your character in the Bear Lake Murders?
Yeah, sure. So my guy's name is Chief Roy Martin. He's the chief of police for Bear Lake, which is kind of a Boulder, Colorado, small American town. He's very new to the position. He's been a cop for years, but his dad was the chief of police, and now he's only in the last year he's been thrust into the position of chief of police. And it's kind of a sleepy town. I wouldn't call him the best police officer. He's not like one of those like traditional, like really solid cops. Like there's a little bit of, does he really want to do this job or was it kind of forced on him? Meanwhile, he's dealing with his sister who's come back from school after the death of their parents. She's kind of come back into his life and she's staying with him at their parents' house. And he's just trying to, go about his life and recover from the loss of his parents.
Yeah. And what initially attracted you to your role in this
Mhm.
movie?
It would. I was really attracted to the element of his stillness and his kind of like he's very masculine, he's very tough, but it doesn't read as somebody that's devoid of emotion. So I found a way of not making him necessarily vulnerable, but he is a guy that feels things. He doesn't show it. You don't see it on him physically, but he feels everything. So he's kind of like an emotional conduit for other people that are being more vulnerable and expressing their feelings. He's just this stone. This I call him like a porous stone where like the emotion flows into him and flows out of him, but he doesn't really like get affected visually, or visibly, sorry. And I liked that element. I liked being the kind of still stone in the raging river where everybody else is having these crazy emotional dynamics, and my guy was just tough.
Oh, great. And how much this character is written and how much is your thoughts and your
Interpretation?
yeah,
Yeah, well, I like to start at the page. And I mean, you get your initial take on it when you first read it. And then as you're reading it more and more, and you start to answer all these questions for the guy, who the guy is, what his history is, you start to develop the person. So I say as a template, all of it came off the was on the in the script. There was nothing that I changed because I wanted to adhere to exactly what the writer was going for, and it gave me a lot to work with. But I feel the relationship with Rebecca, his sister,
yeah,
was probably something that we worked on, me and Magali, who played my sister. We really like found this like sibling dynamic, and that brought a lot of color to him. That was not necessarily on the page. That was something that we co-created. Uh, and I really liked Brody and me had this relationship where Brody like was like a little brother
yeah,
that just he couldn't get anything right. And so if you see it again, I haven't seen the movie, but there were a lot of times where Brody would have something. I'd be like, "Okay, Brody, go do this," and he'd like go, and I'd look at him and go do this, and he go, "Oh yeah, yeah, yeah." So it was this like fun kind of comedy aspect where he just could never get anything right, and it just grades on me. And
yeah.
I'm always just getting a little bit more frustrated with him, but I love him because he's like a little brother to me. But he just can't get it right. Uh, And so that was definitely co-created with me and him and me and Blake. We had a lot of fun doing that.
That's great.
Hmm.
And what do you think makes this movie so special and captivating?
Well, I liked I when I read it and it was weird. I I read it as, a thriller, but it really reminded me of the movie Jaws. Like
Oh,
always from the shark's perspective. You don't know where it is. You don't know who it is. You're like, there's like almost like I could have that da dun da dun underneath like every moment when like, you're seeing from the POV of the killer. And I really read it with like a thought, like a serious doubt on like I had a pretty good idea who the killer was, but I was not sure. And it like and then like a scene would happen and I go, whoa, maybe that. And like we found red herrings in all the characters, which makes it really fun. So that's why it felt like Jaws, is you didn't know who the shark was.
mm,
And I loved it in that way when I read it. And then as we shot it, we all realized like, oh yeah, this is what it feels like. This is good. It's good like thriller stuff.
yeah, great. And you mentioned a little bit earlier, but what was it like working with the rest of the cast and crew on set?
Oh, amazing. Amazing. Yeah, we love out in Kelowna where we shot it. They have amazing crews, amazing hair, makeup, electrics, cameras. Everybody that's out there is really great. They fly a few people in, but mostly the crew are locals to the area, and they're like hardworking, fun. Nobody takes it too seriously. We're all just making a movie. It's a good time, and they are going from show to show to show, so they all know each other.
Oh,
And then the cast comes in from out of town, and we're all like, "Hey, can we all be friends?" And they're just so welcoming. Uh, I knew of Mercedes because we are at the same agency, and
mm,
I knew Blake through a talk I did at his old acting school. So him and I had a history, and I really liked him. Plus, we both do fighting, so it was fun to like get together and hit pads with him at the hotel. We just like we'd hang out all the time. Magali was amazing. She was so sweet. Um, it was a great little family troop. And plus we were like shooting it in the middle of August in Kelowna in like 35 degrees and sitting by the pool and like on our days off. It was awesome and it was too much fun. It was just a vacation.
that's great. And what can you tease about your character journey?
What can I tease about my character's journey? Uh, I think you have to watch for where he stands, like what his stance is on life. He has an idea of what he thinks you should be, and that has blinded him in such a way that when everything happens in the movie, that's a shock to his core because he really starts to doubt things within what he knows is right.
Oh, interesting. So, the last question about this movie.
Yeah.
What was your favorite scene or moment while filming it?
I was actually telling this story yesterday. Um, Mercedes and I had this scene where I know it's small, it's very small. Like there was so many good like fun action things and stuff in this, but there was a scene where Mercedes and I we have a history, right? And we have this like 10-year gap between having seen each other and having something happen, like a bad breakup, if you want to call it that. And we've kind of at this point in the movie, we're not really talking about it, but we are talking about it. And Mercedes wanted to do something. She wanted business of some kind. And she said, "Could we be playing cards?" And me, the actor who like, we have to block the scene, we have to shoot the thing, and like there's so many details with cards. And I was like, "Well, what do you want to play?" She's like, "What about crib?" And do you play crib? Cribbage?
Cribbage.
It it's
What?
like a really challenging card game. And
Oh,
she had never played it before, and she wanted to put it in the scene. And
oh,
so, and I love crib. So we like worked out this whole thing where we loaded our hands and tied playing the game to the dialogue. And like we were like, you move these pegs and you play these cards and stuff like this. And it just gave the scene this element of lightness and history and like the behavior of it was so honest that we walked away from that scene and I went, that was cool. Just like adding this color to it with this card game. And even Danny was like, I haven't shot a scene like that ever. That was so interesting. It just gave it like so much life. And all it was us just like kind of talking, talking and playing cards. And it was so intimate. And I think just like we watch movies and we see people really nail behavior, like how somebody acts, like our psychology turns into physicality. And
Yeah,
in that scene, we really took the psychology of the situation and turned it into something. And both her and I totally attribute this to Mercedes. She was the one that fought for it. I was the one that was like, no, wait, we can work this out. But we figured it out, and she was so persistent to do it. And she really like she got me to believe in it, and then we did it, and it turned into like one of my favorite scenes in the movie.
that's great. So, change of subject.
Hmm.
This is a question I ask to all the artists I have the pleasure to talk with.
Hmm.
What have been some of the most memorable projects you have worked on throughout your career, and why
Hmm.
for you?
So I worked on the show Deadly Class, which was a sci-fi show. Did you watch that one?
Yeah,
Yeah. Do you remember Fuckface?
yeah. Have
Yeah,
you?
that was my favorite character
Oh,
because I had to wear prosthetics and I had to be this monster. He was a horrible person, and like I got to go to these crazy lengths, and it was one of my most memorable parts because I had the Miles and Rick were the two showrunners. They created a safe space to do this crazy character. And I've never felt so like kind of in a place of danger playing a character, like doing dangerous, scary stuff, but having the full support of the creative team behind me. It never felt like it was like, oh, Jesus, don't go that far. They were like, wow, you can do more. That's so crazy. Like they were so supportive. And that was a beautiful, beautiful environment to work on. And then also my show Moonshine, which is it's a show we shot in Halifax, Nova Scotia. And it was a 15-person core cast. And the family, it was like family. And
yeah,
15 of us shot for 3 years in in Nova Scotia. And we all became family authentically. And like we raised our kids around each other for 3 years. So I think Deadly Class was like artistically one of the best things for me. But then as a person, I think Moonshine was probably the one of the best environments to ever work in.
great. Would you like to share more about Moonshine? I didn't know, I didn't watch it yet, so I would
Oh,
love to.
well, Moonshine it's a Canadian comedy. It's a tragic comedy, so kind of like a dark comedy
Oh,
about a family that runs a campground in the South Shore, Nova Scotia, and it's hilarious. Where I can't remember where we show in the States. I know we got bought by CW, so I think we're on the CW app. CBC up here in Canada, if you want to watch it, CBC Gem. And that show is full of amazing actors, hardworking people, but like the comedy, it is so funny. Sherry Elwood, who she was one of the executive producers of Lucifer. She
yeah,
was the showrunner of that. And I mean, shout out to Sherry Elwood. She's a beast. And she was honestly the best boss.
amazing. So, talking about another of your past project, the
Hmm.
100, the 100.
The 100, yeah.
Yeah. Uh, what can you share about your experience on this show and on the set, and what's your favorite memories?
Oh yeah. Okay, I have one. Now this one's crazy. And so my character, did you watch the show?
Yes,
So
all of that.
You remember J.R. Bourne who played the Prime?
Yes, yes.
He worked out at the same gym as me. So keep that in mind. My wife was pregnant. She was 8 months pregnant. And I was in bed at like 9:30 ready to get up for 5 o'clock to drive all the way out to Maple Ridge to go shoot the 100 the next morning. And I knew that at the end of the episode, so I had, I think, episode five that we were just about to start shooting. At the end of the episode, J.R. Bourne took all my followers and me into a room and we closed the door. You know, like the prime worshipers and everything, we all get brought
Yeah,
into like the main hall and the doors get shut. And
yeah.
I read that in the episode and I was like, that's what we were gonna go shoot, is us coming down the hallway and walking in and closing the door. My wife gets up to go to the bathroom and suddenly sploosh, her water breaks. And she goes, "Oh my God." And I go, "Holy shit," like a month early. It's terrifying. We're all like, we're freaked out. We get in the car, we go to the, well, she's not freaked out. She's level-headed, and I'm freaking out because I'm terrified. And we drive to the hospital, find out we're gonna have the baby that night. And so I text one of the ADs, I won't be in tomorrow. My wife's going into labor. And they said, okay, it's all good. Like, be safe. Have the baby. Everything goes great. We're like, okay, cool. And then I get a call from my agent a couple days later, and she goes, "Hey, so they had to replace like, they had to give your lines to somebody else. So they're not going to use you in this episode." And because it was like episode five and six were the two next episodes that I was in, they said, "So you're probably not going to be in six as well." And I go, "Okay, that's fine." And I go, in my head, I'm like, well, I guess I'm probably done for the show because I had a feeling everybody was going to die in that room. I had a feeling. A couple weeks later, after like, recovering at home with the baby, I go to the gym and I see J.R. Bourne at the gym. And he goes, "Tom, where were you?" And I go, I just had my baby. I know it's crazy, isn't it? Like I couldn't be there. He's like, "I killed your people." And I go, "What?" And he's like, "I killed everybody. Like I savagely, did you read six?" And I was like, "No." And he's like, "Yeah, I like ripped people's throats out. Like it was brutal." And I go, "Oh." And he's like, "So are you dead?" And I'm like, "I don't know. I don't think I'm on the show anymore. I just like my character wasn't in that scene. They probably are just gonna kill me off screen." Week goes by, my agent calls me again and she says, "Hey, so because you weren't in the room when all your people got killed, they're keeping your character alive." So I
Oh,
go, "Oh." And then 5 episodes later, I finished the show.
yeah,
And it was one of those amazing things where like we shot into COVID. I was on that set all the time. I was hanging out with everybody. It was like 5 episodes. The main showrunner, I can't remember his name, but he came in and he said, "You're supposed to be dead." I'm like, I'm sorry." He's like, "Congratulations on the baby." Like it was so funny. Like my character was supposed to die in at the beginning of season seven, like 4 episodes into season seven, and it ended up making it five more. And that was my baby saved my character's life.
yeah, exactly. Amazing. So, another quick question.
Sure.
At Survivor the shows, we are big fans of Christmas rom-coms.
Hmm.
What is your all-time favorite?
Favorite Christmas rom-com?
Yeah.
I like a lot of Christmas movies.
If you prefer Christmas movie, the one you watch every year with your family.
Yeah. Elf?
Yeah.
That's rom-com,
It's a
right?
yeah,
It's
yeah,
a rom-com. The Elf. Elf is 100%. And then as like Christmas movies go, I am a big fan of Scrooge,
yeah.
Bill Murray. But yeah, then it's like then it gets into Muppets Christmas Carol and all those like the Grinch and stuff. Like, we're on the Christmas grind right now with the movies in this house.
Amazing. So, the last question.
Mhm.
Can you tease something about your next projects?
I have a really interesting boxing movie coming out very soon.
Oh,
It's not your traditional boxing movie because it's about a guy who is shot and paralyzed and has to come back from that to learn how to fight from the chair. And it'll be coming out in 2025. We shot it last year, and it's good. Pardon my language.
Yeah, don't worry. It's it's for the it's for theater or for
It will be. I think we're trying to do like a big TIFF VIF release. We're trying to do like the Whistler Film Festival. It was shot just at the end of the strike. So our cast is like, if you talk about sci-fi people, like we had, I'm not going to name names. We'll wait until the movie comes out. But like we had some big heavy hitters that were just Vancouver actors that were just like, willing to work for free. And we put this thing. Well, I didn't. I'm sorry. My friend Ryan Robbins produced it with the director and writer Mike Trainer and Bradley Stryker, who also produced and wrote most of the movie. And it's amazing. The performances in it are fantastic. So yeah, keep your eye out for that. It's called 13th Round.
that's great. So this is it. Make
Great.
sure all of you to catch the Bear Lake Murders on Sunday, January 12th on Lifetime Channel. And thank you, Tom, to join us today.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure.
It's a pleasure for me. And thank you all for watching. Bye!
Bye guys.